was red as the future was waiting for you.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
You gotta be dynamic.
I don't know. I can't get loud enough to be dynamic to go over that. Whatever that was, it was like, wow. It was meaning it. We were rocking, and it was meaning it. So now, welcome to Eye on the Target Radio with Rob and Amanda, and a really active drummer. Right? Is that how that goes? So this is your Second Amendment show where we're talking guns, concealed carry, Second Amendment, Constitution, and just general political things. We'll use the word things in that spot.
With a tight leash on.
With a tight leash on that. There is such a tight leash on Rob. Those who know him in person know that, and those who've listened for a while know that we have to control the leash on Rob because things just fly.
Nothing but a giant rant.
Things just fly. They just fly. There's a handle, and they just fly right off of it. So we talk so much stuff that is going on, and we're talking about. We had a concealed carry class yesterday, and so talk about that in what is happening.
Well, it's fun when you get to see young people who are just getting into shooting or whatever, and they come with all their new gadgets and get to play with
their ideas. I mean, and the learning and what they're trying to learn and how they're trying to learn it and why they're trying to learn it. Yeah.
I mean, it's two-sided as that two-edged as the sword is. I mean, they're learning it for a reason because they have some type of underlying fear that they're going to have to need to use it one day. Right.
I mean, one of them, we had one young couple who is just moving into a brand new house, and so they actually stopped in the middle of moving to come and take a concealed carry class. So that says motivation. They're so in the middle of moving that they're like, yeah, we don't have a cooler, we couldn't pack a lunch. We packed a packing box with our lunch in it because we've got boxes. We just don't have coolers. So there was that. Then we had somebody who had taken an online course and then came to take the range portion. So that made it interesting unto itself too. So it was a dynamic, the different dynamics associated with this concealed carry class. Just
right, well, I think
put it up a little bit.
Is that one of the first of the NRA computer courses that we've actually had someone come in and sign up to do the shooting portion of it?
Yeah, the blended. We don't typically run into the blended training.
It was funny. The one girl, she was having a hard time hitting anything. You could see she had a huge flinch, but then when I looked, she had a SIG with a red dot sight on it. Mm-hmm. When I looked through the sights, the co-witness was out by a mile. The red dot was off.
She didn't stand a chance.
2 foot,
so she didn't stand a chance. So that's always. And that is always something that the one of the first things a good instructor should do is if you're struggling, they're like, hold on, let me take your gun, let me double check so I know where it's at, and then when I've identified that, then we can come back and we can start to try to problem solve or troubleshoot. So the guy that was traveling with that girl, he also had some struggles, and so while you were doing the diagnostics per firearm, I was doing the diagnostics to his. And so I pulled his up, aimed it at the target, hit a bullseye, looked at him and said, nope, not the gun. So you, on the other hand, were like, look, you've got an excuse, you've got an explanation, and we'll adjust that.
Well, and that's the thing. Depending on the size of the class or what you got going on, you either have to put it into a different gun or you have to
do a
adjust that sight.
Quick diagnostic. So
if you have a screwdriver, it's nothing to adjusting that to the other piece. But if you don't have a screwdriver, all of a sudden, now it becomes a real job.
Well, and the situation we were in, it just so happened that we had a gun exactly like her gun, so we just swapped her out, set her up. Well, things happen. I'm just gonna say. There were other things you asked me for in the class. You're like, do you have this? I was like, no, I didn't bring that box.
Yeah, we didn't bring it. It wasn't that we don't have it. We just didn't bring it.
I didn't bring it. Okay. I credit with that because I
was at the gun shop the other day, and they had bullets. Cases of bullets.
I'm telling you
45s, 9mm, 10mm.
The log jam.
No 38 specials yet. But
the log jam has broken. I really think that it's now starting to come together. And so
I have seen some of the people on Facebook posting that gunpowder is starting to come available, but the people who have it think that it's worth a lot more than I think it's worth. So
I think there's always this where first there's availability, then there's a price drop. Right. So right now we're waiting for availability.
Right now it's showing about double what it should.
And we'll watch.
So as to if you don't buy it long enough,
it'll start to come down. But you also have to look at the gun shops. So they had to buy it on that up curve, and so they have to sell it on that up curve. So they have to slowly get new inventory and slowly start to sell it. If you had an
understanding wife, you would just have an extra room full of gunpowder so that you don't have to
Well, this was a pretty long period of time. I just don't know how understanding your wife is and how much you are allowed to have.
The kids moved out years ago, so I was pretty much
Here's a room.
House.
Yeah, we keep the gunpowder in the.
She'll go down there.
We keep the gunpowder in the pink room, and we keep the primers in the blue room. Just saying, but right?
So she doesn't go in there.
Considering that you had a multi-bedroom house already that became the reloading room after the kids each claimed their room, I'm saying nothing. I'm staying completely out of that because
I just hope nobody invents something new and cool that I gotta have because I'm
you running out of space.
I'm in good shape for with what I have right now. I don't really need anything too much more motorized or anything.
Right, exactly.
I mean, maybe if I had a whole complete loading line that made live bullets for 22s or something, then
that yeah. let's just step away from that. So yeah, I have an understanding husband, and so I have one full bay in the garage. That's mine for stock of things. We'll just say things. And yeah, it really is. It's a good thing to start to see the supply line start to open up, to start to see products start to get available.
People who are new to it can afford to actually go and shoot some instead of where all of a sudden the price was so crazy high.
Right.
They're paying $1.25 per round to shoot. You can't hardly go and practice very long with that.
You can't. And there's so many people that are like, wow, look, I found ammo. Is this a good price and should I buy a lot? And it's like, right now, no. Buy what you need to shoot this week, next week. Then buy what you need to shoot this week, next week, the following week. You know, so buy 2 weeks, then buy 3 weeks, then buy 4 weeks. The price is going to start to move. You'll start to buy on that curve. And so you're
right. As to whether it'll go back to where it was.
I don't know. But if you slowly dollar cost average, you should be in way better shape than if you bulk buy right now as soon as you find it. Unless you're rich and independently wealthy and have a sugar daddy that wants to make you happy and buy you ammo.
Well, and sometimes it's the hassle of getting the ammo. So if you just buy it now and you get one load of it, and I don't have to look for another 5 years, then that's one thing.
I'm not paying a premium for that. We'll wait a little bit. It'll come down. So sorry.
I bet you the competition shooters are happy though.
It's now available.
The price is crazy when they
man. It really is.
When you look at the amount some of those people go through in a year's time.
No. Have you seen primers yet? Are they starting to come up?
No, I haven't seen any primers, but I haven't really looked either.
The video producer needs an ammo sugar daddy too. I'm just going to say you're probably not his type.
Ammo sugar daddy.
Just saying. I mean, hopefully, if there's only one sugar daddy out there that wants to supply us ammo, I can hold dibs. I'm just saying. So there's that. But we're looking at ammo, we're looking at powder, we're looking at primers, we're looking at all of the supplies.
Right. I mean, and there's new guns available now where before they were completely sold out. I'm seeing my local gun shop has a whole bunch of guns, but I believe they got some from a police trade-in or something. So.
Oh, okay. So so they're set to go. Your local gun shop is also my friendly Cerakoter, and they are working on Cerakoting. They're working on Cerakoting some guns for the DC project. So for those of you who are watching video, Crosley knows he's not allowed anywhere near the studio, but he's in studio. So
sitting on my lap right now.
He's sitting on Rob's lap, facing away from me, because that way I can't see him. I'm just saying. So,
see how that works?
If he can't see me, I can't see him. This is the life of a dog owner in studio. Here you go. So folks, stay tuned. We've got a really exciting show today. We're going to talk about the history of something. Rob didn't tell me what yet. We have Gina Roberts on, and she was on a reality show where they tried to make her tactical. And then we have John Petrolino coming.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, we are back, and we are going to be talking in the history section a little bit that is a precursor to the interview that we are doing in the middle of hour 2.
Well, I was reading some of the stuff about this New Jersey gun buyback and that.
Which we are going to be interviewing with writer John Petrolino on hour 2 about that New Jersey buyback.
Well, and some of it is happening in Paterson, New Jersey, and that's where Colt started manufacturing guns. So in the 1830s,
So that's where the Colt Patterson came from?
Right. So
they named it after the town. Look at that. See, aren't you proud that I even knew that name?
Right. So they started making the Colt Patterson in Paterson, New Jersey. And there was hundreds of them made, and then they got obsolete very fast because technology moved ahead of them.
Okay, so let's describe what the Colt Patterson was, though.
So it was the first of the revolvers that actually, when you cocked the hammer, the cylinder rotated and everything. Okay. But they were small caliber, usually like 28 caliber. The trigger was up inside the gun. It fell out when you cocked the gun.
Okay.
And then it hit again when you. So it made it hard to use because it's amazing as it sounds. You use the trigger guard to help you cock the pistol. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it kind of just rolls over in your hand and you lose it.
Okay.
But the guns were somewhat fragile. They didn't really look like a gun compared to modern day standards, and they just went away. History ate them up, but I'm wondering how many of them are sitting in an attic somewhere in Grandpa's dresser drawer or something like that.
So is there a record of how many were manufactured? Or?
Yeah, they know exactly how many. And there's a spot where Colt made them, then he went out of business, and his business partners took all the parts and made more of them.
Whatever was
extra parts.
Extra parts.
So
okay,
he had, these are what they're supposed to be, and then when the parts thing come together, this is kind of what it could be by bolting parts of a number 2 onto a number 1 and like this.
So do the Transformer versions of the Patterson have more value, less value?
They actually have a little bit less value than the first, but by saying that, a Patterson is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay,
I mean,
so
if it looks like you dug it up in your driveway, it's probably still worth $20,000.
Okay, so it's worth anywhere from a car to a house.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
So and they give a lot of them away as prizes, trying to get government contracts. So they would give them to government officials, they give them to military men and stuff like this, trying to get the interest in this new, because it was new technology and it wasn't really people didn't take to new technology too well as
we still don't.
We still
don't. We're not real quick on the uptake.
Right,
we're just saying.
But I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and I was just reading an article the other day about Colt Single Action Army that was built in 1873, and serial number 1. It was built in a factory, shipped out, and they didn't know where it was at until somebody found it in a barn in 1925.
Okay, so wait, when was it manufactured originally?
1873.
1873. So they didn't find it again for another 52 years.
Right, it was in a barn. Somebody had it. They had been using it, and they just stuck it in the rafters of the barn or whatever, and left it there. Recently, it's changed hands since 1925 5 different times, and recently it sold at auction for $860,000. So.
Okay, so that's a really nice house. That's
something that's just sitting in the barn and nobody paying attention to it.
Right.
But you think about it, if you're collecting guns, serial numbers, some people collect only certain serial numbers. Right. And say they make a million guns, they only made 9 of those guns that were between 1 and number 9. And then you went to two digit numbers.
So single digit.
So if you want a single digit gun, there's not very many of those.
And with the funny part is with new manufacturer, they generally test the early serial number guns, and so those aren't available.
Right. I mean, a lot of the old stuff, they didn't bother putting the serial number on the test stuff, or they just stamped it with something to identify it as it was a star.
Yeah.
I had a friend who actually had serial number 5, Colt Single Action serial number 5, and I don't know whatever he ever did with it, but it was in 44 Henry flat. So. It was weird to see that this
44 Henry flat. So let's squirrel. We're heading off in a direction. Let's talk about what is a Henry flat caliber.
Well, when the Winchester, the first of the Henrys and the 66s came out, they used a rim-fired 44, and they called it a Henry flat. And it was basically a flat nose,
flat back.
Right, and it was rim-fired, and it shot a 200-grain bullet with about 28 grains of black powder. So it was about half power of the 45 Colt, but still pretty potent. The Henry and the Winchester 66 served well through moving to the Wild West because it held 16 shots. So if you could load up and shoot 16 shots without having to reload again, that was a huge improvement over your muzzle loader where you loaded up every shot and stuff. So the funny part was the rimfire Colts and the Henrys and that were real popular in Mexico. So if you find an old rimfire Colt, they're usually in really bad shape, and most of them were shipped to south of the border, because that was something that they were very interested in.
So that's where. So they originally shipped there. They might have come back.
It's kind of funny when you're collecting. Before the internet, it used to be that if you went to a certain location, certain guns were more popular there than other places. And with the advent of the internet, then serial numbers you could transfer all across the country. Different guns
started to break
that were rare in your neighborhood are popular in another neighborhood or something. So the internet has made the world smaller, but it is as a collector,
it made collecting easier. Because you could search out in a bigger distance, a bigger scope, for what specifically you were looking for. The
best part of gun collecting is if you're a sleuth and you like looking at that stuff, it's hiding in dresser drawers across the country. A lot of people have no idea what they have or anything. So you could find a multi-million-dollar or multi-thousand-dollar piece at a yard sale or a flea market or at a gun buyback.
You just got to know what you're looking for.
No one realizes that Grandpa's old gun actually has a value. It's
right. There's so much. I mean, you had that one time where a gal came in and said, my brother and I inherited guns. And he took all of the good ones and I got all
junk.
this. And her junk was all the vintage ones that were actually...
But really prime pieces. Her dad had picked up a lot of good stuff, and she just thought because it was old, it was junky.
Right. So it wasn't all chrome and shiny and all of that, but it did have value. It had a lot of value. So in the end, she got to go nanner to her brother. So there was that. So hey, when we come back, we're going to have Gina Roberts on talking about, she was on a reality show, Surviving Man.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Okay, we are back, and with us we have a guest, and that is Gina Roberts. And Gina she is probably one of the most brave people I have ever seen in my entire life. And so she volunteered, signed up. I'm not sure quite how. We'll ask the questions. How she got involved in a TV series called Surviving Man. So it was a reality TV show with eliminations. And
yeah, but if they're letting you shoot their bullets, and who wouldn't want to sign up?
I saw some of the pictures. Some of the things they had her do, I'm not signing up, right? There's that. So, hey, Gina, thanks for joining Eye on the Target Radio.
Well, thank you for having me here. How are you guys?
We are doing fabulous. So tell our folks, what's the name of the show and what is the station, or where can they find it? Because I know that there's 6 shows already out, 6 episodes.
Yeah, the show is called Surviving Man. It's about Man is MANN, and it's a guy named Don Mann who is a SEAL Team 6 veteran, and pretty much, I'd just say he's a crazy man. He runs double triathlons for fun. But it's on, the easiest way to find it is on AmericanStories.tv. It's on YouTube and a bunch of other places, but that has all the episodes, and it's the easiest to get into. So it's AmericanStories.tv.
Okay. AmericanStories.tv, and the show's name is Surviving Man. So tell us the premise and tell us how you got on the show.
Well, I received an email from Front Sight, which is, I work there, and I'm a member, and it was actually the site of the filming was on Front Sight's facility. And so I got an email that said, hey, why don't you, we're looking for people to do this, and we want 32 people. And so like 500 people applied for it, and for some insane reason, which, we got to worry about the producers, they picked me as one of the 32. And,
okay, so how long did it take from the time you got the email to the application process to being picked?
It was about a month, a little bit less than a month.
Yeah.
And then we had some online not indoctrinations, but
okay,
online,
indoctrinations.
Yeah, well, telling us about it and asking, we're talking about it, kind of pumping it up, and just telling us what to expect. And mainly they boiled around, you better get your, ever-loving posterior into shape because we're going to work the daylights out of it.
So you need to be at the gym now, not tomorrow, but today, right? Okay.
More like 6 months ago, but anyway.
Okay, so what was the application process? What did they want? Did they want a picture? Did they want workout videos? Did they want shooting videos? What were they looking for?
It was very simple. They just wanted, you had an application, name, rank, serial number, that kind of stuff, and a little brief entry, a very short video why you were interested in doing it. And then after you've been selected, they asked for 3 videos from other people to talk about, your character and things like that. And I was very fortunate. I got 4 of them to send in, and I was pretty much crying after each one of them because I had evidently made a significant thought about those people's minds.
So that is one of those things where when you ask somebody to please tell somebody else what you think of me, and then you see it, you're like, ooh, right?
Yeah, I was pretty touched, and but so were the producers. They, the producer's wife, a lady named Foley Steeple, saw my application and said, "I want her." And I admitted I wasn't anywhere near the best shape, but I, 50 years of shooting experience, and she just was excited, and the fact that I kind of occupy a weird demographic, and she wanted me on it, and she was just a sweetheart of a lady, and.
Okay, so you just dropped the clunker right there that my radio audience does not have any idea what that weird demographic is that Miss Gina Roberts fills. Would you like to share with them? You are the DC Project California delegate. That's one of the pieces of that. But what else?
Well, I'm also the LGBT delegate for the DC Project, and I fall into that category because I'm a transgender woman. And so, it kind of gives me a little bit different perspective on a lot of things. And, and the perspective it's given me is how wonderful the gun community is about people that aren't necessarily the same as other people. So.
Okay. So then what happened? So you get there. So they pick you. How long does it take from the time that they tell you you're going to be on and send your hiney to the gym to when you have to go and film the show?
It was just a little over 4 weeks, and we had 3 Zoom meetings between the time, and they said show up on Friday afternoon on, I think it was May 6th, and we're going to film for the next 6 days. And and so it was really trivial. They started out with quick introduction. They flew in by helicopter, and then we did planks on gravel. We started the physical training stuff right away. Planks on gravel, push-ups on gravel, forward and reverse lunges on gravel. I don't know if I said push-ups, but just a whole bunch of stuff. And these guys were like, some of the people that were there were just crazy good at this. And then, you're not tired enough. Let's go on a 5K run. And in the desert at 95 degrees. And
okay, so tell me about the other people they picked also. So who else was in this going push-ups, exercise, lunges, running?
There was about 15 super fit adventure, people that just do kind of adventure shows or adventure, races. And then what was really cool was 17 just kind of normal people that do shooting and expressed an interest and had some degree of fitness and had some other, characteristics I put on there I was really good at logistics and making stuff happen. And, and then it was all about not quitting, and I basically said, I never quit at anything. You can fire me, but I'm not going to quit on you, And in fact, in the 5K run, I don't run. I really don't run. My body doesn't like it, but I power walk the whole thing, and then I was the last one to come in, and Don Mann comes running out, and like, how you doing? Can you jog for the last quarter of a mile in? And I said, no, you got about 100 yards out of me, and I'll make 100 yards. So he kind of jogged around me, and I got to 100 yards, and I said, okay, let's go. And I, humped through 100 yards and basically fell flat on my face, but it was, he came up afterwards and said, well, I really appreciate you doing that. And I said, well, I told you, man, I'm not going to quit it. It's all about, the mental attitude about doing what you need to do to get something done. And it was interesting because after that, the emphasis changed a little bit. It went from an elimination kind of thing to more of a team building under pressure kind of a program, because they really didn't eliminate anybody. There was actually, out of 32 people, 31 finished, and the one that had to drop out actually broke his tibia, but hung around and did logistics for the final mission, quote unquote. And
wow,
it was really formed a solid team of people that forged the team based on it was kind of an adversarial relationship to the thing, and then it kind of, actually in episode 6, the guy that ended up winning turns out to say, I was kind of an individualist, and then it kind of struck me after a conversation with Don Mann that maybe I ought to help out my other competitors because we're trying to build a team here. And
right.
So it was really kind of cool. The 17 of us that weren't necessarily the star performers, we kind of banded together and, helped drag each other through and cheered each other on. And then as the days went on, more and more of the leaders were, also pulling for us. And so it was really, really neat in that respect. Now, it did beat the daylight out of me. I mean, I haven't had that level of, I've climbed, Capitan, I've climbed Mount Whitney, I've done all this stuff, and not one of those things beat me up as bad as this did.
So did you come out in better shape, or because it was only 6 days, it was just the fact that you came out?
Yeah, it was more of, I said, well, this was a bucket list item that almost became a kick the bucket item, and
kick the bucket.
So your friend Charlie Cook just sent a message that says a good woman needs to quote Dirty Harry and say a good woman needs to know her limitations.
Well, I guess I thought I had limitations that I blew right through.
So you blew right through them. So Gina, hang on. We're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the show, where people can find it, and some of the other things you're doing. So, folks, Gina Roberts, California.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Okay, folks, we are back, and with us we have Gina Roberts, who was on a reality TV show called Surviving Man. You can find it on AmericanStories.tv. So go look it up and start to follow the journey that Gina took. So Gina, there's this team of people, and can you tell us what kind of, you said, there's X number of really fit people and then X number of like humans. How many were of like in what age bracket, and where did you fall in that?
I was in the top three oldest. There was one gentleman that was older than I am. And one that was just slightly younger. So I was definitely in the old folk category. We went with the old age and treachery approach as opposed to youth and vigor.
Okay.
And the rest of, the fit people were in the the youngest was about 18 or 19, and he did pretty well. But I think the oldest of the fit team were in their mid 40s or early 40s, mid 40s. And some of them were like right out of the military. It was a very eclectic group of people, let me put it that way. And all of them had, fitness. Most of them had a lot of shooting background because they basically solicited the participants through Front Sight and Big Daddy Unlimited. And so there were people on the mailing list for those things. There were a couple other outlets, too, but I don't know what they were. The cool thing about it is one of the things I forgot to mention, it says, we will be shooting new guns and ammo, and I'm like, wait, I get to shoot somebody else's guns and free ammo? I'm in. And,
right.
So the whole, it was really just a fascinating group, and like I said, the less fit, we seemed to have a lot more fun through the whole, fun with quotes around it, through the whole 6 days, and towards the end, it became more fun for everybody because everybody started pulling each other through, and the really cool part was all 32 finished, with the exception of the one guy that broke his knee, who actually was there the whole time. So it was really fascinating. So I'm really honored that I have 32 new cool friends. So
look at that. So when the show is done, how many segments did they break it up into? They filmed for 6 days. How many TV segments were there?
I think they haven't said exactly. They're on number 6. It looks like they're just about halfway through the stages. So I'm going to guess there's probably going to be 10, 11, 12, maybe as many as 15, depending on how long they make the last the quote mission thing done. And but it was really exciting because there was a lot of mystery about what was going to go on with the whole thing, and we were all guessing, and none of us were right. It was kind of funny.
We're all guessing. None of us is right. I love that. I have to say that one of the things that I love about you is your sense of adventure, your bravery, your willingness to kind of jump in there and go, okay, I have no idea what this is. I'm one of the top 3 in age. And sure, I'm on. I mean, I am so opposed to falling flat on my face and doing it in the public view that I would think that would keep me home on the sofa. So how do you talk yourself into these kinds of things?
Well, I've always been just kind of adventurous. I've and part of it was, honestly, it was part of some of the things I tried to prove to the world how big of a dude I was back in the old days. And, it was kind of like, anything I can do that I might possibly die in will prove to the world that I'm the most masculine dude in the world. Well, it didn't work, but I still have that mindset that, if it's not going to kill you, I was always that parent that looked at your kid and they were bleeding and I need to go to the doctor. And I'd look at him and say, but did you die?
But did you die? Suck it up, Buttercup. There we go. Move on. Yeah.
And I think my kids will agree that, they were probably the taken to the doctor least of any of their friends in history because, it was, there was just no benefit to it. Because, one of my kids tried to blow their face off and they, was throwing a match into a fire and all they had was a really bad sunburn and that scared the daylight out of them. And I sent him back to school and the principal's like, oh, did your son go see the doctor? And I'm like, no, because he was just going to say, let him rest. And I give a day off of school and put aloe vera on it. And
right there, you go. No eyebrows, no eyelashes. You're fine. I think we lived that childhood too. It was periodically where there's now an yeah, you learn the lesson. There's an extreme stench when you burn your face hair off. I'm just saying.
It's brain exercise, guys.
Right. There is that. So this is pretty cool though. So you've been on your Facebook page sharing the links to this show, and so in the end, when somebody wins, and we're not going to mention who wins, but when somebody wins, do they win something, or do they just win the trophy, or do they win the end of the show? What did they win?
Well, basically, the carrot was a $10,000 check. And
okay.
Which I kind of, we had to pay our own way to get there and stay there on our own money, which a lot of new shows do that. The winner also was going to have the opportunity to star and be paid actually to be on season 2. So they are planning another session of it.
Okay.
I probably won't be asked to come back to session 2 because, I'm not one of those glamorous, it was funny because there was like these 2 really sweet ladies actually there's 3 that 2 of them were just absolute, I'm just going to use the term gum babes. They were, good shooters but they were all made up all the time and they always looked really good. They were really nice young ladies, but it was, so they're doing the after show stuff and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool. They always included me in all the pictures and it was really just a fun, very tiring experience.
So if somebody
when they got there, did they know anybody from previously, or was it all brand new people?
Were anybody else in your circle, Gina, when you got there? Were there anybody that was familiar, or you knew their name, or they were in the industry, or anything else?
I knew one or two people basically die. Well, actually, the people that I thought were going to be on there, like Diana Mueller knew, didn't end up participating. I actually, at one point in time, Jerry Mikulik was going to be one of the co-hosts, but he happened to get COVID the week of that. And,
okay.
And he didn't make it. The co-host was a MMA boxer named Randy Couture, who happened, he's this big monster, tough, muscular guy. Just a nice guy. I sat down a couple times with him at lunch and just chatted with him. And he was just, it's what he does. He puts together events like this with On Man. But no, I didn't know anybody. It was funny because it was at Front Sight, so I knew all the range staff. I worked with them. And, and they were all like, whatever you do, Gina, don't embarrass us.
There you go. Were any of the other people who were picked, were they also instructors from Front Sight, or were you the singular one that was representing, if you will, that?
Yeah, I was a singular Front Sight instructor representative. However, that was not part of my my job description, but
or part of the bio. So that's kind of cool. So if somebody that's just listening out in TV or radio land has an opportunity and sees these, because periodically there are these calls for somebody to be in a reality show, would you suggest they do it? Would you say jump in? What do you say?
Oh, I'm always a jump in kind of person. You never know what your body can do. You never know what your brain can do until you make it do it, And,
okay. Well, Gina, I appreciate it. So, folks, tune in to Surviving Man on the AmericanStories.tv channel and get to know Gina and get to know some of the other shooters that are on that show. And if you have an opportunity, be brave, be strong, jump up and say, sure, I'll try it. I'll do it. I will also get involved. Gina Roberts.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
was whatever you. Train rolls in the station. You cannot make a move. Something inside you gives you heat, and then you know it's true. Is the fog lifting, or is it in your mind? You stand frozen as time unwinds. You can lay on the platform. You can weep and moan. Or you can reach your hand up and stop standing alone. Let them take your hand as you lift your face. Rise and take your place.
Shooter standby.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Hey, folks. We're back. Let's start by talking about New Jersey just a little bit, because at the bottom of the hour, we're going to have John Petrolino on. And he is a writer for Bearing Arms and for Ammo Land. And he's talking about the New Jersey gun buybacks and his thoughts. And we'll add our thoughts. And then there'll be mayhem. There'll just be, there's just going to be all kinds of mayhem on there. But I want you to hear about CNJFO, because John is familiar with them and they are familiar with John. And CNJFO is a supporter of this show. New Jersey is a civil rights wasteland. They have an unconstitutional legal standard called justifiable need, and that keeps ordinary citizens from exercising their rights to bear arms. New Jersey, the state, spits in the eye of freedom, ignores the Bill of Rights, and ignores the Heller decision. That's just not right. New Jersey has anti-gun politics, and they're spreading cancer. The Coalition for New Jersey Firearms Owner, a tax-exempt, not-for-profit, has a goal to defeat justifiable need, a goal to defeat and reverse the course on all anti-freedom laws, and to render aid to other jurisdictions, other states, by filing Supreme Court-bound litigation. You can help them. You can help CNJFO by going to their website, learning more, donating. So it's www.cnjfo.com. Check them out. Support them. We want to keep that civil rights wasteland in New Jersey and eliminate it there and not allow it to spread across the United States. Right?
Right. It's crazy that how things are there.
In some of the states, when you start looking at it, and it's like, wow, the laws in this state or the rules in that state and the things that are happening.
You think you got it rough. Look at what the other people are putting up with.
Right.
So
in these different, the different states, the different places.
Ohio's got it made.
I know Ohio is tepid. Well, no, we're by no means.
What do you mean? They're starting to rub things up. I seen the other day that they're actually they've working on constitutional carry, and so there's only like 22 states got it. So
right,
normally they would wait till they're like 43 states got it.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
So it's like they're ahead of the curve right now.
They're getting braver. They're going to go at 20. They're going to go at 25 instead of at 40, because 40 is the number. Typically, they're like, wait for me.
So I mean, things are moving in a positive manner. If you look at it across the country, though, I mean. Mm-hmm. The president, Mr. Biden, talks about gun. He's going to get rid of 9mm. He's going to do all kinds of stuff. And but in reality, when you look at local state laws across the country, we're gaining ground all the time.
Those states are saying we're not taking it. Ohio boldly goes where 39 states have gone before. That should be the Ohio bumper sticker right there. Ohio bravely goes where 39 states have taken us already.
But I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening, different, sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, sanctuary things, different concealed carry, 18-year-olds can buy a gun,
and states' rights in some of the states going, hey, not happening in my area. So there's some of that.
September 1st, you can buy a suppressor in Texas that says "Made in Texas" on it, without all of the government hoop jumping.
Without a $200 1934
we'll wait to see how this all works out. But
right, and they're like, okay, the state will do this. Ohio said we're not doing that because that'll get you in trouble with the federal government. No, Ohio, gross.
The thing though is
fine
because the federal government still controls the manufacture process of all this stuff. Mm-hmm. They can put the screws to the manufacturer so hard that you won't be able to get anything. Is all they can do. So you may live in an area that allows you to have it, but all of a sudden everything dries up because they won't allow them to build or manufacture or ship or anything to that area because it's got to go through the federal paperwork. And
we're gonna watch. It's gonna be interesting.
You can see in some of the court cases they're going after the what do they call it? The Commerce Clause.
Okay, yeah.
So the Commerce Clause is basically why the government has their hooks in the firearms industry at all. Mm-hmm. They're saying that no matter if you build a gun, it's going to travel across state lines. So back in the day, they took control of it and no one fought them on it.
And so they're just going to try to stop that right now.
Right, so now they're working on some of that. And if they can get that to where it's divorced from the Commerce Clause, all of a sudden there is no gun control laws.
It'll all be back to states' rights and each state, and then those states have to define. They're going to have to build walls and protect their borders. Then they'll believe in walls. Now they don't believe in walls. But
yeah, I mean, and some of that too is like, is your state better than the other state? Do you believe that because you're from Ohio, you have Ohio pride versus West Virginia, New York, Pennsylvania?
I'm going to say Ohio is I've boldly gone where 39 states have gone before.
In the old days, they were willing to go to the border and fight over a couple of acres one way or the other.
And it's not happening.
In the modern age, if West Virginia moved up,
decided that they're taking over and absorbing a couple
they're coming up
counties
to Coldwell or something.
I don't know.
Would you
defend Ohio from trespassing interlopers who are trying to gain ground?
Move on your territory.
No, I wouldn't.
See, that's the problem they're having with Afghanistan right now too.
Right, I get it. I get all of that. So, okay, we're going to switch topics completely a little bit. So, because I didn't get to tell you in the very first section of the show, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. So, some of the stations didn't get to run our first segment of the show. So,
they missed it.
They did. It was really good. But I just want to tell you what I did this last week because I did something special. I did something different. I did something brave.
What was that? Sauerkraut?
No. You mean like eat it? No. We have created a brand new podcast and on-demand TV show called Women for Gun Rights. And so it's all teal for 2A. It's all beautiful. It's all navigated. It's so I'll just say brave, because I have to say to all you folks who listen to our show for any length of time, Rob has a saying that says that he is the rock that keeps me from rolling backwards. Is that it? Something like that. The pebble?
Yep, I'm the pebble that keeps her wheel from rolling backwards.
Something like that. Well, so everything we do together as sidekicks, right? This is what we do. So go forward, figure it out, and we do it. And if it goes south, he's right there to jump off the cliff too, right? I don't know. This I did without him, and it was kind of scary a little bit.
And it's funny because if you watch, there's a lot of shows I sit here and don't say even one word.
Well, there's some of them I think he's sleeping, but once you get past
that too. But I mean, that's the kind of thing. Well, just recently with Gina's interview, I mean, I had like one question on the whole thing. The rest of it, you're just zooming right through it. It's like, I want to know that too, but since you're asking, I don't have to. Well,
there's that. So, but without him there, it's kind of scary. I'll just say. So check out our new show called Women for Gun Rights. It's on the DC Project YouTube channel. It is on OpsLens, and so that's where you can find it. The Polite Society podcast and their Facebook page runs it. So there's a couple different places that you can find it. And then soon we will be loading it up to get it onto podcasts so that you can subscribe to podcasts. But it will be a show about the gals from the DC Project and potentially others, but women who are fighting for gun rights and what they're doing. But needless to say, I'm going to be harvesting from the DC Project really heavy because they've got some amazing women on there doing some amazing things.
Well, you just talked to Gina. There was Lanny Barnes from a couple
weeks ago. Yeah. No, there's that. I was just looking at Charlie Cook.
I was kind of surprised when Gina was saying she didn't know anybody. I figured that Amy Dillon was in there because she seems to be everywhere.
Amy's everywhere, right? Amy's a 4'11" former Marine Corps drill instructor. I have a hard time with those two words going together, right? It's like when you have to look down into your Marine Corps drill instructor and still tremble in fear, that just doesn't.
But it's funny when you're with her, she's so nice and polite till all of a sudden the Marine Corps instructor comes flying out.
And you're like, oh, I didn't mean to stir that up. Whatever that was.
Even a civilian stand at attention.
You're like, okay, knife hand, she means it. There you go. So Women for Gun Rights is the show. Check it out and let me know what you think.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seffacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
So, folks, we have one more little segment, and at the bottom of the hour is when we are bringing on John Petrolino, writer extraordinaire for Bearing Arms and for AmmoLand, and he's written his own book. He's a New Jersey guy who is talking about, and when he wrote this, we were looking at it going, oh, yeah, man, I have opinions. I have a lot of opinions about gun buyback programs. And how can you buy back something that you didn't own in the first place? So that's sort of that whole build
it's
buyback better? Well, we're not going there. We're just not going there. So what else do you got on the? Let's talk about car for a minute because we have not talked about.
Well, if you want a good, comfortable carry pistol, the car I recommend the K9. I have one. I really like it.
So K9 is not just a dog.
It's actually steel framed car. It's one of the heavier ones, but I like the fact that it has replaceable grips and it's fully stainless steel.
Okay.
They make some polymer guns too that are a little bit lighter and thinner. If you're interested in that.
I have the CW9.
And then we're going to Greeley for the what is it? The
Rod of Iron
Festival.
Freedom Festival at the Tommy Gun Warehouse.
And then I think while we're there, we've been saving our pennies. We're buying a silver-plated Tommy gun, like it or not.
It's been on the docket. You guys make it. We'll have it in studio. Imagine that, so that you come.
Yep, nothing makes you feel better than a C-Mag and your Tommy gun.
I mean, they already look at us when we come marching in with you and me and the dog. Now, when we come in with you, me, the dog, and the silver-plated Tommy gun, silver-plated tiger stripe Tommy gun, they're not messing with us then. They are not messing with us at all. Right?
So that's where we're going with it. But there's a lot of other things. They make high-powered rifles. They make the BFR revolver. So check out the car lineup. There's a lot of good quality stuff there.
It's really good. Rob loves the fact that he gets to talk to them about, hey, you ought to think about this or you ought to think about that, and gets in these in-depth conversations.
Well, sometimes
with them.
they had already been thinking about some of that stuff, so
and then they tell you what or why
better.
or what they're doing or where it's going or what's the secret stuff that's on the drawing board, even.
Right. I love that stuff.
You do. You really do. So I know you've got over there a story about David Chipman. And
that guy is driving me crazy.
Well, that guy,
I don't believe he stands much of a chance. I mean, if Durbin had the votes, I think he would have already
called
been
the votes. So what we're talking about, in case you've not heard who David Chipman is, he is the President Biden's nominee for the director of the ATF, and they want him to be in charge of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. He is an anti-gun guy. He has worked for anti-gun organizations for 10 years.
Every time for gun safety says he's a gun safety expert.
Right. His answer is take them all away from everybody, and then it'll all be better. Right. Except you can't get them all. We're not giving them up.
Well, Biden is pushing for the senators to vote Chipman in. He also has a statement out loud where he says he's going to ban all 9mm handguns and long guns. So
right. So the most popular caliber in the United States, they're going after that. They're also talking about taking anything that has a removable magazine in a semi-auto rifle and making that be considered in the NFA rules, so that now they're going after hunting rifles.
They're
like going after
California ARs where you have to open them up and load them with the stripper clip and then close them again.
Right. So they are coming after. It's not just my guns. They're coming after your guns. They're coming after everybody's guns. And it's not over till it's over. But call
like
your
I say
senator.
Too, is we're gaining ground on the state level. We got.
I think we're gaining ground here because they have not called for the vote, and I think you're right that if Dick Durbin had the votes, he would have
moved on it by now.
Right? He's not called. They don't have a whip for anything, for nothing. That's why the guy gets the name whip, to whip up the votes. Not to be whipped, but to whip up the votes, and he doesn't have it. So
right. So that's the thing is, and so by making these phone calls, if you got time, write a letter, email, phone calls. All of it is what's keeping Durbin from being able to do his vote.
To call this thing from David Chipman. Now they're actually asking to go back for another Senate hearing because there's new stuff that came out, and that new stuff came out that said that his co-workers at the ATF say no, don't pick that man, and that he has 2 EEOC suits against him and documented racist comments where he
Well, I
just...
can't imagine why they would want him to go back out if he's not going to gain any extra ground with all of that stuff.
Oh, no, it's the people who want to show him for what they now have identified him to be, so that they can pull some of the potential votes. Not that there's enough, but so
right.
It's an interesting situation right now. But pay attention. But what is at risk is the ATF. And because it's at risk, there's another story up there where the ATF is changing the definitions, and that's the thing that we're most concerned about. Is it's not just that the ATF director sets the direction.
Well, you've seen
they get to reinterpret things where they don't get to make the law.
With the bump stock, where they just renamed it, they just decided that it was a machine gun. Well, now they have this. It's a FRT-15 trigger, which is a trigger that's forced to return. So as the bolt goes open, it pushes the trigger forward past the reset, and then when the bolt goes forward, allows you to pull the trigger again just faster than you could normally. So if you're putting constant tension on it, it pushes out against your finger, and your finger will push it back. So you're pushing out, it pushes back. You're pushing in, it's pushing out. You're pushing in, it's pushing out. So they're saying that it's a machine gun, but with their definition of a machine gun, it really isn't a machine gun. It does not meet the government definition of a machine gun. It meets the ATF's definition, the new ATF's definition of a machine gun, which then means hold on to your hat. It's going to go... Well, it says a machine gun is a gun that fires more than one bullet with the single function of the trigger. Well, on this trigger, it fires one bullet, but when it fires, it pushes your finger back off. If you let off on the pressure, it stops shooting. If you keep the pressure on it, it doesn't stop shooting. Allow you to shoot again. So there's some stuff, but this is why the ATF director is so critical to us. So stay tuned. When we come back, John Petrolino, he's out of New Jersey. He's a writer, and you're going to want to hear what he has to say.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the backseat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Dan Perkins with your songs and stories for soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Okay, folks, we are back, and with us we have John Petrolino, and John is a writer for a variety of different articles, websites. They are, man, you would think that I just learned how to talk today.
Well, back in the old days, they would say magazines and stuff, but that's all obsolete
not
now.
Anymore.
It's obsolete technology.
I'm not sure what they call them. Websites, I guess, is what they call them. But they would be for
you're showing your age. That's all.
Yeah, well, 8-track. We'll just go. But no, he writes for Bearing Arms. He writes for Ammoland. He writes his own books, and John is if I dare say it, and I know he's listening, a deep thinker. And so this conversation is about what's happening in New Jersey with the New Jersey gun buyback program. When he wrote this, I was like, yes, go boy, go. I want to hear more of this. So we invited him to come on to talk a little bit about it and his thoughts on it. So, hey, John Petrolino, welcome to Eye on the Target Radio.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, Rob. How you guys doing?
We are doing good. So what caused you to kick off and write about the New Jersey gun buyback program and to tell it like it is?
Oh, yeah. You know, the whole gun buyback thing, and it's not fair to call them buybacks, as you guys were talking earlier. Cam Edwards eloquently calls them compensated confiscation program. So that's really what they are. They're not buying back something that they used to own. And I've done a number of stories on buybacks and amnesties. I did some work about a knife amnesty over in the UK. So when this one had popped up in New Jersey, Freddie at Ammoland had gotten on the horn with me, and he said, "Hey, why don't you take a look at this?" And I said, "Oh, this is good. This is five gun buyback programs all in one day." And it's important to discuss this in New Jersey in particular, because these programs are basically encouraging people to break the law. And the possession laws in New Jersey, as you know, and I'm sure many of the listeners and viewers know, are just very strict. And under 2C39 TAC 5 B and 2C39 TAC 5C, those are the possession laws that are saying that if you basically want to carry and possess a handgun, that you must have a permit to carry. So everything else in New Jersey is under exemption to that. So if you want to possess a handgun in your home, that's under exemption of the law. But the law reads you must have a permit to carry, which everybody knows you cannot get a permit to carry in New Jersey. And the same goes for rifles and shotguns. You can't possess one unless you have a firearms ID card. Well, those are a little bit easier to get, obviously, because nobody would have shotguns or rifles in the state. So basically, the AG is asking people to take these firearms and transport them to these amnesty locations outside of the exemption of the law. There is no exemption in the law that allows you to bring a gun to a church just because the Attorney General says it's okay. That's just not in there. So they need to be brought to task on this. And as we know that these compensated confiscation programs, they're ineffectual on top of that. I mean, you saw some of the pictures, I'm sure, of past buybacks and even this one. It's like you're talking about a barrel of wooden stocked rifles and shotguns and things like that. So I had written about the Yep, go ahead.
There's a couple things to it. I mean, so it's ineffectual, but in New Jersey, I want to know when you go to this place that you're not allowed to bring a gun, and you bring a gun because the government tells you to bring a gun. Does the government check to see if you have a firearms ID card in order to have brought it there? Or are they doing like they do in so many other states, no questions asked, just bring me the gun and I will give you money?
Yeah, these are supposed to be, quote-unquote, no questions asked, whether or not they're scanning license plates and faces. Who really knows for sure? But I've never been to one of these programs.
Yeah, me either, because
I don't have anything I want to surrender.
And they have it's a crime of the third degree if you're caught hauling this gun to the location without the right paperwork.
So they're telling you to break the law to bring it to them. But the other part is if they're giving you $250 for this gun.
Well, it doesn't say they're going to give you. It says they're going to give you up to $250.
So how do they decide how much they're giving you? How do you decide that that's worth it?
Hear it. Yeah,
maybe it's your negotiation skills.
My negotiation skills are excellent. How are yours?
If it's a scary black rifle, I'm sure that's going to earn you top dollar, and then maybe your homemade zip guns might not make that much.
Let's talk about that. A scary black rifle, they're going to give you the top dollar of $250. But any gun shop is going to give you top dollar that starts at double that, and depending on what it is, it would go higher. But they ask questions. So the real sauce on the goose here is the fact that if you could make more money taking it somewhere else and you don't, why?
Well, you would think if it worked and it's so hard to get, it would be worth more on the street than the $250 anyhow.
Well, there's that. But if you're saying, I want to make sure that it goes into good hands, it's either the government hands or a gun shop that's going to then do the transfer to do a background check.
I just wonder how many historically significant firearms are turned in.
I haven't even gotten to that. I think that 90% of these guns weren't their guns to begin with. Right? So before we get to historically significant,
they sold this from Frank Sinatra, and now it's Frank Sinatra's gun that.
Right. I feel like I want to quote one of those, one of the David Cassidy things. I think this bird is hot. Right. I mean, remember the Partridge Family? That's where I'm going. I think they're stolen guns, and the government is now dealing in stolen guns. Okay.
And that
take
could
that
very
topic
well be
and
the case.
deal with that, guys. Go ahead, everybody. Group conversation. What do you think?
Well,
We're all silenced.
One of the other argument that I like to make about this, and this could all be smoke and mirrors, and I've seen, I read the comments. I probably shouldn't read the comments, but even somebody chimed in, and they had a picture of the tables of firearms, and the AG and everybody's high-fiving each other, and they did a lot of press on this, and the AG has yet to respond to any of my comments. Big surprise. But somebody was commenting that those firearms weren't even from these quote-unquote buybacks. It was from something else, or it was some other stock photo maybe that they pushed out there. So, but let's take the government, at their word on what they're doing.
Believe them? You mean?
Well, for a second, we can believe. We can believe for a second. That, but look at all the other benefits that we have here. One of the arguments that I made was, and I'll quote this directly: "If you're tired of throwing your murder weapons in the river, use this opportunity to make money while ridding yourself of potentially harmful evidence." And that's something.
No questions asked.
It's no questions asked. That's right.
Yeah.
So, they're asking for people, if anything, this is a program that's obstructing justice in the way of not allowing potential investigations to open. Or is it really, no questions asked unless we find your fingerprints on there and we do a ballistics test and it turns out to be a murder weapon, then we're going to ask some questions, so...
Nah. We've taken these guns off the street, and it is so much better because those guns are off the street.
And it's garbage. It's a garbage argument. And one troll was recently saying, "Well, what difference does it make if they're taking the guns off the street?" I said, the difference is, you think that these wooden stocked bolt action rifles are what's causing the problems in Patterson, or in Newark or Camden? Are these the guns of choice of all of the crime that's happening in Jersey? No, you don't find people running down the streets with N1 Garands. Hello. So, even the scary black rifles, this stuff, it's not, it doesn't make sense to even use that as a weapon of choice in crime because you can't conceal it. These guys, they're all delusional.
I was thinking, he's saying you don't see people running down the street with their M1, but I'm thinking, that's
coming. There are that. So we've got a commercial break that we're coming up to, but when we come back, we want to ask a couple of questions, and those questions include that, I want you to talk about, I want Rob to talk about guns with historical significance. I want you to talk about, is there something that we're going to be able to do about the fact that they are asking people, they are telling people, they are bribing people to break the law? So when we come back, we'll have more with John Petrolino, writer from Bearing Arms.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, so we are back with John Petrolino, and John is a writer for Bearing Arms, and he also writes for Ammo Land. He wrote his own book, and when we're at the end of the segment, we'll let him give a little pitch for his book because it's an amazing book. Rob, who I have read most of the books as we do book reviews, is like, that was the best of the books.
See, people are in awe right now that I can even read.
No, they know you can read. They know you can read. So let's talk a little bit about the historical significance of guns that potentially end up in these buyback programs that then get lost forever.
Well, it's funny. I live out in the wilderness area, and from the Civil War on, this whole area that they're talking about was manufacturing for guns and ammunition and stuff like this. And a lot of major manufacturers use these small towns and stuff to get. So how many of these old original guns are still in someone's attic or in their closet, or grandpa brought home from work, or...
Right, because John, you missed the segment that we talked about early on in the history section, that the Colt Patterson was designed and built in Patterson, New Jersey, and now they're doing gun buyback programs where they're having them illegally transport guns that aren't really theirs to the government to buy back for pennies on the dollar.
Right. Yeah. And it's absurd because there is a very large element that we could be destroying history here because, this was old granddad's rifle or shotgun. Well, I don't know what to do with this. What do I do with it? Well, there's a gun buyback. So, let's go turn that in and we'll go to Applebee's afterwards or something. I don't know, but
right, and not to dish Applebee's, but literally, you're right. I mean, it's like, okay, we've got a little bit of pin money, and we can go out to eat, honey. You know,
sure, yeah.
A couple years ago, one of the California buyback programs got their hands on Sammy Davis Jr.'s semi-auto. It was, what was it?
1911 they had got, and they estimated its value at $350, so they destroyed it.
Yeah, $350. They said Sammy Davis Jr.'s. The Provenance alone would put that gun at 10 times that price, at $3,500 before you ever got anything more than that. You know.
So that there's not many $300 1911s out there.
Right. It was just crazy. It was really crazy. I found out that the NRA Museum reached out to them to stop them from destroying it and ask if they could buy it or if they could just take custody of it. And they said, no, their policy is that all guns that come in get destroyed.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's just, that's ludicrous.
Yes, it really is. So is there any recourse on this breaking the law, and the Attorney General or whoever is asking them to break the law? Is there any recourse? Is there any lawsuits? Is there any something that the laws for thee and the laws for me don't match up? Is there anything that you or CNJFO or some other organization that is into Second Amendment litigation can do to put a cork in this?
I mean, that's a really good question, and you know, a couple things to that. Number one, we would have to prove like an injury claim. So, what would my injury claim or CNJFO's injury claim be in saying, you know, these people were allowed to break the law, but I'm not, and I don't know if that would hold water or not. And Teresa Einiger, you know, she's our legal eagle. She's like the one to really ask about that.
So
I do know that Evan Knappen, who I usually turn to, one of the many attorneys in Jersey that I turn to for firearm-related stuff when I'm working on these articles, and he threw me a quote for the Hammerland article. You know, once upon a time, I do recall he used to send out a notice saying he would give reward money, I believe, saying, show me where this is legal. I haven't heard him say that in a good while, but, you know, that's something he used to say, and he understands, he gets it, that these are ineffectual and they're illegal. I mean, they're asking you to break the law. And I might go to put the AG to task and start sending them a little bit more official correspondence and saying, listen, I want answers, you know. And I get it's an affirmative. People could use this as a defense. Well, you know, the government said that I could do this, so it's okay. But that doesn't change the fact that you're going to have to hire an attorney and, you know, prove that. So what are they doing, you know?
If you could find someone who was, say, arrested or charged with transporting it to or from this area.
Well, no, if they were arrested for transporting to or from anything else, and they're allowing these people to do it, and they're not, they're injured.
Then there's where you could prove that somebody was harmed.
There's your harming in this, and then potentially
exactly
the people that are in the church.
So who was the woman that a couple of years ago that got over the line and got caught in New Jersey because she got forced on the bridge or something?
Yeah, Shanine Allen.
Yep. So she could show you.
She probably has standing.
Yeah, she can show you that without paperwork, things go bad.
Right? I mean, there's that. It's really crazy that we all of us who are just listening to the radio or participating in gun things now know all these legal terms and we care about them. You know,
we used to just shoot a gun for fun, and now we got.
Now listen to us. We have to read a dictionary and everything. It's craziness. So hey, John, I am so glad that you came on. I mean, I know we had you on when you first rolled out your book, and I don't think we've had you on since. So why don't you tell folks how they can find your book, what the title of it is, how they can find it, because they're going to want to know more about the stuff that you do, because it's really, really good stuff.
I appreciate that. The name of the book is Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on general gun safety and use. And right now you can get it on Amazon in paperback or Kindle form. And it's a soup to nuts guide. And Rob gave me some of the best compliments, and you were talking about it earlier. Just a book to get a new gun user or somebody that really knows nothing about this aware of what they need to know. So at 266 pages, with over 115 illustrations, I try to convey that. The first few chapters go through safety and function, and then we go through form as well. Then there's a small section in there that I kind of review everything, and then afterwards, in the latter part of the book, I take closer looks at different topics like gun storage and lead exposure and hearing protection and things of that nature. So that book is on Amazon. You could also buy it online from Gun for Hire, the Woodland Park Range. Anthony Calandro does sell it through his e-commerce store over there and in the store. So Jersey people that are close to the Woodland Park Range, if you want to get a copy of Decoding Firearms, you can get it over there at Anthony's place, and his book, Crime Proof, as well. And you can find more about me on johnpetrolino.com, which my website, it's not necessarily up to date. I tried to put articles up there, but it's gotten to the point
you're
where,
a writer? You're a writer who doesn't write about himself. Is that where we're going with that? The cobbler's shoes.
I try to post thumbnails to the articles that I'm working on, but it's now gotten to the point where I'd have to update it a couple times a week. So maybe I have to do a session and sit down and kind of update it. But if people want to reach me, they can by going to John Petrolino, JohnPetrolino.com. And I'll be happy to field questions or anything. And if people that are listening have some news tips, you can email me too. So go to the website, bookmark that, and I get a lot of stuff. I know, Amanda, you've sent me a couple things like, "Ooh, this is nice. I'm going to write about this." So I'm always happy to get fodder to work on.
Yeah, I'm like, John, you got to look at this. This is a crock of cheese right here, and it needs some of your attention. So, folks, I'm going to drop this right here. I am trying to tag John to be a model in the Concealed Carry Fashion Show in Houston. So if you're going to be at NRA, you may be able to get to see him strutting his stuff on the catwalk as part of the general fun that is happening at the Concealed Carry Fashion Show. So, folks, John Petrolino.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.org.